What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in to the PWTorch Fireside Chat for Friday, February 17th, 2023. How's it going, everybody out there? My name is Zack Heydorn. I'm PWTorch Assistant Editor, and here to finish off the week before we get into a really busy, a busy wrestling weekend coming up here starting tonight with Smackdown, but then we have Elimination Chamber tomorrow. We've got Battle in the Valley tomorrow and Sasha Banks. So lots to talk about, lots to digest, lots to discuss. So appreciate you guys being with me here today. If you haven't checked us out yet, first of all, thank you for doing so. And also make sure you subscribe to the PWTorch YouTube channel. We are live every single day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, with various shows. So we do usually like a Raw preview on Mondays. We'll do a Raw kind of review on Tuesdays with the SmackDown preview. Wednesday is pretty much AEW Dynamite Day. So we will focus on AEW and preview Dynamite. Thursday is our Fireside Chat flagship edition, and that is myself and Tyler Sage. We run down the news of the week and talk just all things wrestling. Yesterday on the show live, and you can check it out in the archives. We previewed Elimination Chamber fully, every single match, top to bottom, and we also we also were able to pick some winners and some predictions and do some fantasy booking. So if you want to check that out before Elimination Chamber, it's in the feed right now. So please, I hope you do that. And then of course Friday, here we are. And on Fridays we do an Ask Us Anything segment here on YouTube, and then we also preview tonight's episode of SmackDown. So that's what we'll do today. Thank you to everybody who's listening live. Azan, hello. Cody, hello. Glad you're able to catch us live today, man. Appreciate that. Hopefully you can stick with us and catch us more often, man. But very much thank you for joining us. So with that said, start getting your questions in. Hazan says he's already got a question. So Hazan, I'm waiting with bated breath to see what that question is. And then again, Cody, we'll be talking SmackDown here in a bit. So appreciate your comment. Let's start off with kind of talking high level SmackDown as we wait for the questions to come in here. When you look at what they've got set for tonight, Madcap Moss against Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. You've got Asuka versus Liv Morgan, kind of like intro to the Elimination Chamber match. You got Sheamus and Drew McIntyre going up against the Viking Raiders. And then you have Natty and Shotzi against Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. So that's what they're promoting tonight. Anybody see a glaring hole in what they're hyping? Yet we don't have any like promoted or hyped segments involving Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns or the Bloodline or the Usos or anything like that. I think that's really interesting. I don't know how they could actually go into the show tonight and not do something around that. But at the same time, I don't think, and we talked about this yesterday on the show, I don't think the feud really needs any more. Like, it's spent a good, 6 months plus with build, and now it's time to pay it off. So I know that like you go into the show and you're going, okay, I can't wait to see what's the final chapter in the build to Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns. And I'm not sure. I'm not convinced that they need something right now. It's not like they're sitting there going, all right, we got to add a little more juice to this feud. It's not quite where it needs to be. And yes, they are advertising that Sami Zayn will be on the show, but nothing specific, like no contract signing. He's not in a match at this point. Neither is Reigns. So I think that's smart. I think less is more as far as the build goes here. And for this storyline, I'm predicting that we see kind of, because I think Sami Zayn's going to lose tomorrow night, at Elimination Chamber. Full preview up on the YouTube channel on yesterday's flagship edition of the Fireside Chat. I think we see him have a moment tonight on SmackDown where he's standing tall at the end of the show, and kind of feeding off the audience, and they're there to help him like start to believe that he can actually do this. Because remember, that was the premise of the promo on Monday night, where he thinks he can beat Roman Reigns, but he doesn't know. He's not sure. He's not sure about it. And I think tonight you want to like get him further down the path of being sure. And I think you can do that when you've got a whole building full of people cheering him on. That's how I predict that they go off the air tonight, concerning Sammy and Roman. But I think they're less is more. And now, right now, they've got what they need going on. So I'm expecting something, but nothing crazy. We'll preview a little bit more in a little bit, but let's get some questions here. Let's get some questions, because after all, it is question day here on the PWTorch YouTube channel. Azan, good question. Who should be first? Who should be on the main roster first? Braun Breaker or Carmelo Hayes? Whew, good question. Really good question. I think Carmelo Hayes should be on the main roster first. I think he's just a more well-rounded performer at this point in time. I think, we know he can have a really good match. We know he can talk. We know he can do whatever he needs to do from a backstage vignette perspective. Like, we've seen it all from him. He just seems more. He seems more like a finished product at this point in terms of a well-rounded act than Braun Breaker does. And so I don't know. Like, for me, it's kind of like an easy call, just because I think Carmelo Hayes is so freaking talented and has such a high upside in a Paul Levesque led WWE creative environment on the main roster. Vince McMahon, I don't know. All bets are off, as far as that goes. But with Levesque in charge at the top, I mean, Carmelo Hayes, I think, has a very, very high ceiling, and he's a full package. As I said, he's more of a finished product. He's more polished. So I think he gets up there. He gets up there first. Braun Breaker, tons of potential. I think they've done a nice job booking him. I think he's, done an okay job showing some progression, but it hasn't been with as much leaps and bounds as it has and was with Carmelo Hayes. I mean, Braun Breaker, there's still a little bit of clunkiness in his matches. He's still kind of one note when it comes to his in ring. They're not going to be the same type of wrestler. I get that, but he's just not a completely finished product like Carmelo is right now. So yeah, Azan, that's what I think. That's what I think they do. Also from Azan, how do the women's tag belts stand in WWE? Well, not great. Not great. They're not in the greatest standing right now. I just don't know how they keep messing that up. Like, give the women's tag team champions something to freaking do, right? Like, this isn't hard. You've got it around the waist of Damage Control, right? And so, like, go with that. Build up some teams to take them on. Like, it's not like you're in a situation where, oh man, we've got this just really limited amount of television time, so we have to we have to watch who we put on TV when. It's like, no, you've got 3 hours on Mondays every single week. You've got 2 hours on Fridays every single week. Like, you should be able to come up with something, reasonable. I'm not talking like main event level stuff here, guys, but like, you should be able to come up with something reasonable for your tag team champions in the women's division if you're going to have tag team titles. Like, if you're not going to do anything with them, then don't have them, But like, if you're going to have them and you're going to have Damage Control walk around with the championships, like, do something with them. I don't get the idea here of like having these titles, crowning these champions, and not using them when you have so many hours of television time to fill every single week. It's like, it's like mind-boggling to me. Like, use these things. So no, they're not in a great place. I do think we're getting to a point where we're going to see Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler chase down those titles. I think that it was reported a few weeks back that that's something that Ronda Rousey is looking to do and looking to get into, as far as like what her WrestleMania plans are. So that'll inject some energy into the division if you could get Rousey and Baszler into like a little feud with Damage Control. I think that works. I don't think it's the best way to utilize Ronda Rousey heading into WrestleMania. I think there's bigger singles matches for her to have, like I don't know what's her name, Becky Lynch, maybe. I think you could certainly pull that off, but you know, the women's division, if that division, the tag team division on the women's side gets a jolt of energy and momentum because you have Ronda Rousey in that division, then that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But you got to, no matter what, no matter who's in it or who's wrestling for the titles, you have to give it time. And right now, like the women's tag division just is getting no time at all to really show off what they can do or tell stories or generate new stars or anything like that. Great question, Azad. Hello to Sean, hello to Dr. Ross, and hello to everybody else that's joining us live. Appreciate it. If you want to ask a question, it is a question day on the PWTorch YouTube channel. So get them in, and anything, wrestling, sports, anything and everything is on the table. So get them in if you want to do some chatting. From Cody, do you think we see Kevin Owens tonight, or do they wait for that pop at Elimination Chamber? I think they wait for that pop at Elimination Chamber. That's a big part of the story here with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline. And you know, Sami has a title match tomorrow night. I think you want to like hold back some of like the kind of the stuff that's going to make the crowd go crazy when you know that he's probably not going to win the title. So I think that, yeah, you hold off on that. You get that moment at the Elimination Chamber. You get kind of the reunion between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and then they can go on and build that match against the Usos for WrestleMania. At least that's how I think it's going to go down. But no, I would not pay that off tonight. I would wait until the pay-per-view on that. For sure, certainly. Also from Cody, where the heck is Bray? It's a good question. Good question. I mean, I have not been impressed with what they've done with Bray Wyatt so far. I think a lot of it has been interesting. I think a lot of it has been fun to watch. I think it's been kind of a cool story. But none of it, in my eyes, can translate into a wrestling ring successfully at this point. Ultimately, where the heck is he? I mean, I think he's just holding. He's in a holding pattern. In a holding pattern, they're gonna try to, you know, get him in a position to do the match against Uncle Howdy at WrestleMania. I think that's what's on the docket for him. And at this point, that's probably like that's a good scenario for him at WrestleMania, because you don't want him to get involved in these other big things. And he's presented in such a big way where, you know, you have to have something important for him to do. But it can't be Roman Reigns. It can't be, you know, Cody. It can't be Sami. So I think that he's in his own little world right now. And you do a match against Uncle Howdy at WrestleMania. I mean, all signs seem to be pointing to that. So that's what I'm thinking. Let's see here. What else do we have? Ryan wants to know, where is Tyler? He is what do they say? He's on assignment today, not on the show. So I'm holding down the fort for him, Ryan. You know, you got to give him a hard time about this. You know, it's such a slacker. Kidding, of course. Everybody misses his good looks. I mean, I get that. Thanks, Ryan. I'm glad you're joining us live too, by the way. Appreciate you. All right, Sean says, who do the Bears take at number 1, or do they trade? Hey, this is a great question. They trade, or they just take Will Anderson number 1. I'm okay with either one of those scenarios. If you can trade inside the top 4, I'm green lighting that. Stamp of approval from me. I really think they need a strong defensive presence coming out of the draft this year. And you've got two guys right there for the taking, Jalen Carter, Will Anderson. So if you can make a trade and stay in the top 4 so that you can get at least one of those two guys, okay, thumbs up. If you can't, and I don't know that I'm pulling the trigger on that. I'd rather get the player. I'd rather get the player at this point because they need good talent on both sides of the ball, regardless. So yeah, it's an interesting time here in Chicago. Everyone's super excited about having the number 1 pick, and it's like, did everybody forget the last couple months ago where we watched this team and how they got to that point where they were eligible for the number 1 pick? I mean, that stung. So, but hey, now we can kind of hopefully flip the franchise a little bit here. That would be good. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it, man. All right. Let's see. Azan says, not loving Uncle Howdy. Okay. You're not the only one, Azan. That's for sure. Let's see. What else? Scrolling through the list here. Okay, Dr. Ross is going, I would rather see LA Knight get a push rather than Bray, to be honest. LA Knight has proven himself to be to me, like a pretty strong commodity with a lot of upside to WWE. He's not going to be somebody that the company builds around, right? I don't think he's going to be a guy that is main eventing WrestleMania next year or is in a Cody Sammy position this year. But man, that dude can talk. He can talk. He's a strong personality, and he's like on Miz level, I think. And I say that with all due respect to Miz, because Miz has had a long career in WWE. He's useful for them. They trust him with a lot of different situations. He carries a lot of television time. So Miz isn't going to win the world title again, most likely. But he gets TV time. He gets paid well. That to me is like a ceiling for LA Knight, and that's really valuable in 2023 WWE. All right, let's keep going here. Let's just scroll. My first question above that, blah blah blah. Let's see. Let's keep going here, guys. All right. I love this question. Steven says, Zach, what are these UFOs and how is Biden getting away with lying to everyone's face about them? Hey, who knows? I don't know if he's lying to everybody. He's just not saying a lot about what they are. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. I'm not a conspiracy theorist when it comes to this kind of thing. I am very much, hey, it probably is the more reasonable answer in that it's like some kind of private group or some sort of UFO from something more reasonable and not aliens. So I think it's fascinating. I find myself regularly looking up some news on hey, what's the situation with these darn things? But I don't think he's getting away with anything quite yet. The big news conference yesterday about the UFOs and the visitors from other planets. Hey, the XFL was shut down the last time because of a worldwide global pandemic, devastating pandemic, right? This time around for the XFL, maybe it's an alien invasion that cuts the season short. I don't know. Great question, Steven. I appreciate you, man. All right, let's keep it going. Justin Fields is really good. He's not the problem. He's not the problem. Ryan, where are we partying tonight, my friend? Where's the party happening? I love it. Good for you. Okay. So, Sean, also, will Asuka beat Bianca at WrestleMania? She has to, I think. Ooh, man. Good question. Of course, there's pluses and minuses to both. I would think that, yes, she would have to beat Bianca at WrestleMania. And it's a couple different reasons why I think that, Sean. Like, number one is Bianca has just gotten a little bit cold as champion, and some people can go on a really long title reign and keep it hot and keep it rolling. I don't think we've seen that from her. We haven't seen her have the ability to do that. She's just a little bit cold right now, and so maybe if you get the title away from her for a bit, she can chase it down. And that is always, it's usually good for baby faces to be on the chase. Not always, I mean, some, like, Becky Lynch has had, a year plus title reign as baby face. Countless others have, especially in WWE throughout its history. But chasing down a championship is a good way to heat up a babyface. And so she may need to step away, like take a step back, to take two steps forward as a babyface. And Asuka is the right opponent to take that title, I think, at this point. She's got a refreshed gimmick, more serious. I think that there's a lot of places you can go with that. There's a lot of fresh matchups you can have with this Asuka character. I mean, this Asuka character could work Rhea Ripley. She could work Charlotte. She could work Bayley. She could work Becky, Ronda. I mean, like, the list goes on because she's never been this Asuka before. And so if you put the title on her, you just have a plethora of different options, and she could hold the title for a really long time. So I absolutely think that's the way that they go, for sure. All right. Steve, who is your favorite co-host? And you can't say Tyler. Well, geez, I mean, he's partner in crime. No, I mean, this is ask me anything, so I'll answer. But I am going to make sure to say this: we've got the absolute best team of people at the Torch. Like, it is an absolute blast to host with everybody that I get to host with. Seriously, like, everybody's got such a wide range in opinions and, like, just articulates things in different ways. And people that have really different kind of specialties too. Like, so that's really fun, and you can really learn. I mean, you as a listener, when I listen to other people, you can learn a lot about the different kinds of wrestling that people specialize in. To answer your question, though, I mean, it's my Midwest Express tag partner, Rich Fan. I mean, he is just a ball to chat with, and it's just so easy to talk with him. Such a good guy, knows wrestling, knows history, and it's just really fun to be around. So there you have it. All right, let's keep it rolling. These are good. These are good questions. This has been a blast. Okay, so if you guys have more questions, no, Radican is wonderful too. See, you can't be doing this to me, guys. Can't be doing this. Everybody is tremendous, for sure. Actually, Radican and I did a really fun show yesterday on the VIP side of things. So if you're not VIP, go check it out on PWTorch VIP, pwtorch.com/govip. We recapped the New Japan New Beginning show from last weekend, match by match. It was awesome. And we talked a little bit about Jay White. We talked about Okada. We talked about kind of the future of New Japan, with Jay White leaving and where is Hiroshi Tanahashi and all this. So it was a really fun New Japan show. And I don't get to talk New Japan as much as I'd like to, because I really like the product. So it was fun to really, like, sit down with Sean. And Sean, I mean, my goodness, you guys know, Sean just knows New Japan Pro Wrestling backwards and forwards. And so, it was wonderful to talk about that with him. Here we go. Milano, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Glad you're here. Happy Friday to you too, my friend. Ryan jumping in with a question. What can AEW do to reverse course and improve the aura around the company? Wow. Good. That's a heck of a question. I feel like you guys got to strap in and wait for this answer, because I just think that there's a lot they can do. There's a lot they can do. And I think you're right when you say improve the aura around the company. that is, it's not something that you can necessarily define, because it's so, you know, it's just so objective, in terms of like aura, right? Good, bad. I mean, that's going to change person to person. But I do think there is an aura around it right now that's just a little, I guess the best way to say it is flat, you know? And I mean, I should just hand the mic over to Sean because this is it. This is it right here. They have to improve their storytelling. And I think to go one step before that, you have to, you know, create characters and give people reason to care about them. Because you got to do that before you can tell stories with them. And I think this past episode of Dynamite was just a you saw a lot of characters on the show, but I didn't feel like an attachment or an investment in many of them at all. A couple of them, sure. Like I think, like MJF, obviously strong character. Bryan Danielson, I think, is a strong character, but a bit directionless. But the bottom line is, I think they have to take a step back and start telling stories. Like, it very much is like a pro wrestling match show. They have good matches. They have good matches, and they do. But to me though, like, that's not enough for episodic television in front of potentially millions of people on a Wednesday night. Tonight, I say this all the time. Tonight on Fight TV, you're going to be able, if you just purchase any independent wrestling event for 10 or 15 bucks, you can get good wrestling. That is at your fingertips easily these days. In WWE too, for that matter. I mean, usually their wrestling is solid. So AEW has to focus itself in terms of its storytelling, and really get to a place where people care about what they watch on a regular basis. And I think if you do that, you get a product that people are invested in, not a product that people just want to, tune in every so often to see a good good match. The Elite, I think, let me take a step back because I'll use this as an example. I also just don't think that the top stars in the company are all, pulling their weight at this point in time. Like, and the person that stands out to me on is the Elite people. That stands out to me on. The Elite are a big reason as to why this promotion exists. Yet they regularly take the back seat and don't want to be featured acts in part of episodic stories. Their characters are undefined. You don't know whether to like them or to not like them, and they don't seem to care about that. And so you're just wasting that. You're just wasting that like the fan interest that is around them by not putting in them something more serious. The fact that Kenny Omega is not around a singles title right now is crazy. The fact that the Young Bucks are not around the tag team scene right now is crazy, in favor of a trios division that nobody really cares about. And I think you could say the same thing about, like, obviously Adam Cole. He's been sidelined, so nothing you can do about that. But you're not getting what you need out of every top star that you have. So to me, though, to answer your question, Ryan, I mean, I think, again, we could do a whole podcast on this for sure. And maybe we will someday. But, they need more stories, and they need more character development, and they need more true fan investment in order to kind of get out of this little funk that they're in. So we'll see if they can do it. The other thing is, I thought about this just based on Steve's comment here. The wrestling landscape changed a lot for AEW when Vince McMahon went away, or went away from creative and is not running creative anymore. Like, because it wasn't like outright, hey, it's us against Vince McMahon, but like that was like kind of the unwritten battle lines. And now that he's not there anymore, and now that fight and like that investment that the fans gave AEW, because it wasn't Vince McMahon, like I think because that went away, you kind of have a company that's kind of, that lost something. And I think that like we'll see the effect of that moving forward here. Like if Jay White signs with WWE, that's not something that would have happened, in my opinion, with a Vince McMahon led WWE. I think he's much better suited for AEW than he was Vince McMahon's WWE. But now that it's Triple H's WWE, I think he's pretty suited for that. And so you just don't have the same. AEW's not in the same place and is not fulfilling the same need that it once did for wrestling fans. And I think that's different. That's different here too. Great question. Who dethrones Jade Cargill? I don't think that person is on. I don't think that person is on the. It's almost like that person is not on the main roster right now. I don't think there's anybody on the main roster right now in AEW that deserves that moment. I just don't think that person's there. I think, and until that person kind of reveals herself, I think you just keep Jade undefeated. That's getting to a point where it's going to be a big draw, and so I don't. I just don't think you just do it to do it. Make sure that it's going to a person that's going to be a part of that division for a really long time. All right, let's see. Let's keep going. You guys are great in the chat, by the way. This is interesting, Milano. Cody Rhodes versus Kenny Omega, SummerSlam for the WWE title. You heard it here first. That'd be something. That would be something. I don't know that I'd bet on that, Milano, but I mean, look, if 2022, 2021 taught us anything, it's nothing is off the table these days in professional wrestling. So yeah. And I think it'll be a heck of a match too. It's a lot of backstory, that's for sure. All right. Guys, we'll pivot to SmackDown here right now. But if you want to keep dropping if you got questions and you're just joining us, drop them in, and we'll make sure that we get to them as we look at SmackDown here. But don't think you can't ask any questions, because it's question day on PWTorch YouTube channel. So get them in if you got them. All right. So tonight we've got an IC title defense. Gunther versus Madcap Moss, and it's still Madcap Moss. Unfortunate, very unfortunate. Look, we know how this is going to go. This is Gunther all the way. It's, I don't know, kind of a silly match to have, if you ask me. Like, I know, like, you want to have a title match and you want Gunther out there. So I guess to that end, it's absolutely fine. But Madcap is just such like a low-level guy right now that this should be like, 2 minutes, maybe. Yeah. Sean again stealing the words right out of my mouth. Gunther should squash him. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about squash necessarily. I mean, I'm fine with that. But I mean, it should not be more than 2 minutes. Absolutely not. Yeah, I'm not ready to go there, Azan. Madcap as a main eventer. I don't see it. I just don't see it yet. We'll see. But I mean, he's got a good look. He can have good wrestling matches, but I just don't see him. I don't see him being in that spot as of right now. So that's that match. Tonight also, we've got Asuka versus Liv Morgan ahead of Elimination Chamber. Both of them are in the Elimination Chamber match. This is, we talked about Asuka earlier with a question that was sent in here, and like, this is another one of those matches that just feels a heck of a lot fresher. I don't know how many times Asuka and Liv Morgan have had matches. It's been a lot, but And if you throw in like tag matches and stuff like that, there's nothing fresh about Asuka versus Liv Morgan. But you have a situation now where there's a different Asuka out there, so this feels fresher. This is Asuka's to win. I'm fully predicting that she's going to win this, and she's going to win clean and decisively, and maybe we even get like a final brawl segment ahead of the Elimination Chamber between the women on Saturday night at Elimination Chamber. So that's how I think it's going to go. Asuka all the way, and Asuka's really fun to watch right now. Like, she is fun to watch out there, because I think this is more her. This is more of her element. If you watched her career prior to WWE, this kind of thing is what got her as over as she was. And so, it's fun to see this in action on a big WWE like scale. Also tonight, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus against the Viking Raiders. And they're really going down the road of this Drew McIntyre Sheamus tag team. I don't hate it. I mean, I don't really like. I'm not finding myself just rolling my eyes at it. But I do think that it's strange that Drew is in this position right now ahead of WrestleMania. Like, he's one of the top guys on SmackDown, and he's just not getting that kind of attention. That kind of attention heading into the biggest show of the year, which leads me to believe, like, who knows what kind of match he's even going to have on at WrestleMania this year. Plus, the fact that they're partnering up takes away a little bit from the Brawling Brutes, where Sheamus was like the guy, on his own as the leader of that faction. So I don't know how I feel about that either. I liked seeing Sheamus out there on his own, and I'm here for this. I'm interested to see where they go, but this situation, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus against the Viking Raiders, doesn't really have like long-term success behind it, in my opinion. Cody, that's a good recommendation, or a good idea. 3-way for the IC title. Could absolutely see that going down at WrestleMania. I could even see, but I also could see Brock Lesnar, and Gunther going down at WrestleMania, which means Drew will be the odd man out in that. So we'll have to see. But I think this match could be fine. But I think Drew and Sheamus are going to win this. But there's not a lot of depth here as far as where they can go on this. Last but not least, and probably the second biggest story of the show tonight, Ronda Rousey returning to team with Shayna Baszler to take on Shotzi and Natalya. Again, it was reported a couple weeks ago that Ronda Rousey was looking to potentially work in the women's tag division at WrestleMania. This indicates that is the direction that they're going. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think, there's, Ronda and Shayna together has value, I think, right now. They fit as tag team partners. Shotzi and Natalya are kind of playing kind of the foil for them. I think they're gonna get rolled in this match, but it's about Ronda, and it's about Shayna, and it's about how those two can they put anything together, headed into WrestleMania. So, we're talking about, you guys are talking about this in the chat right now. Ronda got crickets last week. I mean, her second run here in WWE has been just supremely disappointing. There's nothing there. I mean, there is just absolutely nothing there for most of it. You kind of got to, she got some action at WrestleMania last year. But then, who did she feud with? She feuded with Liv Morgan, Charlotte, which they beat that into the ground. And now she's coming out the other end. And, I don't think she cares. No, the fans don't care. It seems like the company doesn't even really care. I mean, to not go with Becky versus Ronda right now is it's crazy. I mean, that's how cold she has to be in the eyes of everybody for you not to do that match. If it's sitting there on the table, and Becky especially has nothing to do, that's telling. That's telling on the state of Ronda Rousey in WWE. So, tonight should be good for her. I mean, I think Sean mentioned it, and Sean, thanks for joining. As always, appreciate you. But they have to roll them. They have to roll them, and and I think you hit the nail on the head, Ned Russ. I mean, it is a kickoff match. I mean, it's not at a very high level. It probably won't be a kickoff match because it's Ronda Rousey, and WWE likes to show off their big stars during WrestleMania season and at WrestleMania. But so it likely won't be, but it is one. So it'll be a main card match it'll be a pre-show kickoff match that's masquerading around on the main card. Guys, let's call it a day right there. I certainly appreciate you. This was a blast. Looking forward to next Friday already. You can get your questions in early if you want, or save them up and bring them next Friday. But we'll do another Ask Us Anything edition of the show on Friday, along with the SmackDown preview. I will be hosting the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling post show tonight after SmackDown. So if you want to chat SmackDown live, you know how to do it. Just call us up. We'll be on the air 2-3 minutes after SmackDown goes off the air, and you can chat the show there. And then tomorrow night for Elimination Chamber, we are working on a potential Torch cast so that we can watch the show live with you guys. More details to come on that if we can put it together. So fingers crossed. And if so, make sure that we're your second screen experience during Elimination Chamber. But thank you to everybody who joined us live today. Cody, Steven, Sean, Milano, Dr. Ross, Azan. Who else here am I missing? I don't want to miss anybody. I think I said Steven, but I'll say it again. Steve. So to everybody, you guys know who you are. Thanks so much. Yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. See you.